everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a design that is Mirabel from the new Disney movie Encanto that is actually really good. We watched it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I was really impressed with it. So I decided that I should definitely do a Mirabel design, and she has such a nice little, like, quirky half smile that I think is just so endearing. I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. Bye! So we are going to begin with this really pretty swirly little ombre in the background. Not an ombre, swirly marble, don't mind me. I've got some pink, some purple, and some blue. Even though my purple ends up looking a little bit more blue just with the combination of colors, especially with that more like aqua color. I'm going to add a little bit of a chunky glitter on top of that just to, you know, up the glam factor. And then we're going to encapsulate this with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure all of that in the background is nice and protected. I love that background. I think it is absolutely stunning, especially that little bit of glitter on top. Don't overdo it, but just like a little wisp of glitter coming through, I think is the perfect touch for this background. And then we're going to file it into shape with our e-file to make sure that it is nice and smooth and the perfect platform for our 3D art. Speaking of the 3D art, we're going to jump right in with Mirabel's face. So when you're doing something like this, you have a lot of choices to make as far as how big you want something to be. And I wanted to include at least a portion of Mirabel's clothes. And I also didn't want to completely cover up that gorgeous background. Usually I make a cool background and then I completely cover it up with the nail art. And I'm like, by the way, on other nails, you might want to do that background just so that some of it gets seen. This is a case where I was like, you know what, this background I feel like is kind of a part of the movie. There's all of this magic happening around Mirabel, which is kind of where I feel like that background comes into play, where there's this like swirling color fiasco going on behind her. And she's just kind of like, you know, whatever. And I think that really plays into kind of her character. So I didn't want to completely cover up that background swirl. So I'm leaving a lot of that visible and sculpting her a little bit on the petite side compared to what I usually sculpt my characters, where it's really like oversized, really prominent on their face, lots of facial features. While she does have plenty of facial features that we are going to be working on, I didn't want to just make her so huge. She's not bigger than life like some characters are. She is bigger than life, but I don't know. If you guys watch the movie, I think you'll probably understand what I'm mumbling about. But if you haven't, then watch the movie and then it'll all make sense, I hope. Or I'm just a nutcase. Either way. So we've got her face and her neck, and then I'm going to start with a cream color, some kind of an off-white. You're going to sculpt her shirt. And then with a teal color, not the same color that's in the background or the same color that's in the background. It's kind of up to you. Mine actually happens to be the same color, but I wish it wasn't. I wish I had a slightly different shade of teal, but really in my collection, I don't have that much for teal. But anyways, you're going to sculpt her skirt. I really am feeling a bit scatterbrained today. So you guys hopefully are getting some kind of enjoyment out of my craziness, or maybe you're just completely annoyed and, you know, turn me off for a minute. Otherwise, we're going to just keep adding details, sculpt her arms. So she's got her arm where she's got like her elbow of her one arm resting in the hand of the other, and then the hand with the elbow down is going to be kind of extended off to the side. In that, for that arm, just sculpt from shoulder to elbow and leave the forearm in the hand. Just wait on that. We're going to sculpt that separately and add it on in a minute. There is a beautiful little ruffle going right along the neckline of her shirt. So after you have the shoulder sculpted in, you're going to go through and add that little ruffle going along. And her head is tipped to the side. She's shrugging. So have one shoulder up, the shoulder that's got the extended arm kind of just raised a little bit, and her head is tipped towards that shoulder. Otherwise, if you want to switch up the styling of this and her positioning, obviously if you just Google Mirabel, especially if you say like Mirabel Encanto, you're going to find so many different images of her that you can work from and find inspiration from. This movie is just so beautiful. I had so many different ideas for what to do for it. I almost painted a Mirabel scene like with her in the center and different things on my own nails, and then I decided, you know what, I felt like she needed to be 3D, so I didn't do it on myself. Obviously, I did it on this nail instead, so here we are. I'm going to be sculpting in her nose. The one struggle with sculpting, at least for me, with sculpting a character that has their head tipped to the side, no matter who it is or what the circumstances, even if the character is straight, I just tip them on my nail so that's slightly crooked, as I want to straighten everything out when I go to do the face. Don't do that. Obviously, we want to keep her, you know, with her head tipped to the side. So it kind of possibly would help to turn the nail. As you can see, I kind of turn it to the side when I'm placing things down so that I'm kind of looking at it from the right direction so that it's as if her head is straight up and down. And it kind of helps just visualize where things go. The one thing that I thought was kind of weird is sculpting in her mouth. I didn't have a color that I thought was appropriate for her lips. Unlike, you know, a lot of Disney characters that are female, she's not wearing any lipstick. It's a natural lip color. So I sculpted her mouth just with the same color as her skin. I actually wish I had not sculpted her mouth and I had just left it flat and then gone through and painted in later. But, you know, it's okay. Live and learn. Just because of the way that her mouth is kind of shaped, I think I would have been better off that way. But we did it how we did it, and that's how it is. And then we're going to be adding her eyes with white acrylic. Any of this stuff, like her mouth, if you are not somebody that is comfortable sculpting, you can do all of it with paint. I say that in so many of my videos, but it's just something that I feel like you can never think about enough, is when you're watching a tutorial or, you know, looking at somebody else's work, you don't have to do something exactly like they did. You don't have to do, you know, if you're going to recreate this design for one thing, by the way, I'd be flattered. But for another thing, you don't have to replicate it just like I did. In fact, take my ideas and my inspiration and make them your own. You know, look at them and think, you know what, for me personally, it would be easier if every detail on her face was painted in. I'm not going to sculpt her nose or her eyes or her eyebrows, mouth, none of that. I'm just going to paint it all. And that would be beautiful. Or you could look at this and be like, you know, it'd be really cool. I'm going to make her hair glittery. It's going to be a glittery black. And you can switch it up. Now me, I'm just using a straight up black with just a little bit of a brown mixed in. But you kind of get where I'm going with this. Is you can personalize things. You can switch up the background, the foreground, whatever you like to make it your own. And no matter where you take inspiration from, you can always do that. So whether it's, you know, one thing that I really like is, really I'm scatterbrained today. One thing I really like is that when you see somebody that on, say, Instagram or social media or anywhere, I suppose, and they say, this is the set that my client brought in. This is the set that I was inspired by. This is the set that I did. And sometimes you can look at those and you can see that they are, you know, spitting image. It is exactly like the inspiration photo. Sometimes you can look and be like, you know what? I love how you took the like personality of the first set and took it and changed it and made it your own, and it became the second set. That's one of my favorite things to see, is how somebody interprets something. It is just such a cool transformation. Now, obviously, there is nothing wrong with, at least in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with taking an inspiration set and trying to replicate it to the best of your abilities, because it's not going to be identical, even if it is really close to identical. There are some artists out there, and somebody is probably going to have words for me if I start going into my opinions on this. But anyways, there are some artists out there that really hate it when their work gets replicated, because it's, you know, to them, it's the equivalent of plagiarism is to an author. And to me, that's just not the case. And, you know, everybody, like I said, everybody's got their own personal opinion on this. And there's certainly etiquette. And I am all for giving credit where credit is due. And that's not at all what I'm saying, where you should, you know, take credit for doing a design and saying, you know what, I came up with this idea, if you didn't. But I don't think there's any reason to see somebody's work, love it, and then not redo it because you don't want to replicate somebody else's work. And there's been a few times where I've seen something on the internet somewhere and I've loved it. I've absolutely just loved it. And I've done it on my own nails and not made a tutorial because I didn't feel comfortable making a tutorial for something that wasn't authentically my design. And I'm not saying that that, you know, is right or wrong or anything else, but that was kind of my personal choice as to not step on anybody's toes. That doesn't mean I didn't paint it on my nails. That doesn't mean that I didn't, you know, have clients that say, oh my goodness, I love your nails. Can you do that on mine? And I said, no. It just means that, you know, I'm making sure that I'm not taking credit from somebody. And at this point, I don't think I would make a tutorial for it, but I would still post it and just credit it back to the original artist. And so all of this is coming in. There's a few people that I follow on Instagram that really preach that you should never steal somebody else's work. And I don't think it's stealing. I mean, if you're redoing it yourself, I don't think it's stealing. There's, like I said before, there's etiquette involved in crediting people back and taking them if you are inspired by something. But I think it's just, I don't know, drama. But maybe if you have words for me, if you have a different perspective on this, we can start a discussion in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole topic. I think it's one of those things that I think the more we talk about it, the more people will realize that you need to do what you have to do as far as, you know, giving credit where credit is due, and the less drama there will be about taking work. Because to be honest, somebody could get their, you know, hair in a knot because you use the color blue on your nails and they just use the color blue on their nails. And really that is pure coincidence. And there's so many designs that are simple and really elegant that people think they're stealing because it's, you know, simple and elegant, but it's just maybe a French tip with a couple extra lines. And I don't know, is that really stealing a design? I personally don't think so. But, you know, like I said, drama, lots of drama. So we sculpted Mirabel's extended arm off on a nail form backing, and then we attached it. And now we're adding everything. Her hair is done. The last little touch with acrylic is going to be to add in her earrings. Once those earrings are in place, like so, then we're going to go through and we're going to do all these details with acrylic paint. And there really is several details to be done with acrylic paint because there is so much gorgeous embroidery on her clothing that we're going to paint in as much of it as we can. Because it is such a small space, there is a limit. So there's on the frill of her shirt, there's like a scalloped edge on the bottom and then scalloped edge on the top. And each of those circle openings, there's a little butterfly. I did my best to kind of quickly replicate a butterfly. I did not put too much effort into it as far as to try to make exact little butterflies. And if you do, amazing. If you don't worry about it. Even if you put a dot in the middle, you can simplify this. There's so much detail to that embroidery that you could be here for days trying to replicate it onto the nail if you were to really go crazy with it. So, make it easier on yourself, but make it look amazing too. Add some color to it, have some fun with it, and take some inspiration from her clothing. And there's some really cute, like Mirabel costume outfits that looks just so adorable, just with all that embroidery. It's just beautiful. I love embroidery personally, so obviously I'm going to like that. I'm going to take some diluted brown paint, add some shading on her face, on her arms, on her neck, add a little bit of highlighting in her hair with the same color brown. It doesn't have to be the same, but it certainly works if it does. I'm going to add a little bit of a pinkish hue to her lips. Not too much. Like I said, she isn't wearing any sort of lipstick or lip gloss or anything that's going to make them look extra shiny. I'm going to brighten up her eyes with a little bit of white paint, add some details with black paint. Just keep going through and doing everything that you need to finish them off. When you do stuff around on Mirabel, like her eyes and everything, keep the extravagance to a minimum. I read somewhere where she's supposed to be 15. She's a 15-year-old girl. She's not wearing, heavy eye makeup like Elsa is. So you can kind of keep it on the simplistic side. Her mouth is open to show a few little bits of teeth. So add some white in her mouth for those teeth. Add a little bit of, she's got brown irises, the black pupils. Go through and add those details. For her eyelashes, I actually didn't even use straight up black. I used a little bit of brown mixed into my black just so that it was a little bit, like I said, just a little softer. She's not wearing heavy eye makeup. I'm going to add a little bit of highlighting here and there on her face with some brown mixed with white just to give it a little bit of a brighter shade than what her skin is. Add little bits of details here and there everywhere you need to. I'm going to add just a little bit of a shading inside her mouth on her teeth with gray and black. And then once you're pretty much happy with everything that you have as far as painted on Miss Mirabel goes, I'm going to add a couple freckles across her cheeks. I'm going to apply some gel sealer over the background, which is going to make that glitter mix in the background shine so beautifully. Cure that, apply matte top coat over Miss Mirabel, and then you're going to use some jewelry wire to make her glasses. So as you're working on the glasses, wrap them around something like the end of a dotting tool to give them that nice circle. Hold it up to the nail to make sure that it's the right size. And then after you have the first side done, you're going to bend the wire out, cut off one of the tails of the wire. So you've got a little circle, bend it out a little bit. And then I actually cut it wrong. So I'm going to redo this one. Okay, so there we go. So then you're going to bend it out. So you're going to take and hold it with something like a tweezers and then just bend it so that it makes the bridge of where it goes across her nose. And then holding it again, just kind of fit it across the nail to make sure it's in the right spot. Hold that and you're going to wrap it around your dotting tool again. It is so tedious and so tiny. So, have patience with yourself for wrapping or for bending this wire. So wrap it again, hold them up to Mirabel again to make sure that they're the right size. Just keep going back and sizing them anytime you do another step in it, just to make sure. Once they seem like they're going to fit, you can go ahead and cut off the extra wire, bend that last little tail in place, and then we're going to attach them to the nail. So we're going to just go through and with a little bit, if this is called jewelry gel, we're going to place a little bit of jewelry gel on the bridge of her nose, grab your pair of glasses, set them down on the bridge of the nose. That jewelry gel should hopefully hold the glasses in place while you pop that into your lamp to cure. After it's been cured in place and the glasses aren't going anywhere, cover the frames, the wire with some bright green gel polish. After that's been cured, top coat it, and then this nail is all done. She is so stinking cute. I hope you guys like this one as much as I do. Like, if you probably couldn't tell, I'm completely in love with this movie. I thought there were so many elements of it that were so well thought out and so uplifting. I mean, she's this great character that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. So I hope you guys love it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!